Suffering under the oppressive rule of North Carolina's colonial governor, Quakers Joseph Maddox and Jonathan Sell applied for grants of land in Georgia after the Creek ceded their lands to the colony. Originally, they were granted 12,000 acres, but when more and more pioneer families wanted to relocate to Georgia's frontier to escape persecution, Maddox and Sell applied for additional acres. In 1769, 44,000 acres were given to the Quakers. Traveling 300 miles by ox cart and horseback, the settlers arrived here with hopes of justice and religious freedom. 1,000 acres were set aside for the town, which was later incorporated and named Wrightsboro. The only remnants of the original meeting houses are 2 burial grounds with scattered markers that have weathered with time. Meetings were held on Sundays. There were no baptisms, hymns, collections, or communions. Men and women sat apart from each other in silence until an inner voice moved someone to speak. A friend could be expelled for marrying outside of the society, non-payment of debts, playing cards, bearing arms in a warlike manner, and owning a slave. Through the years, the Quakers survived the Revolutionary War and Indian attacks, but as cotton became more profitable in the South because of the cotton gin and slave labor, the Quakers' way of life was threatened. Unable to compete with slave owners, the Quakers moved on to other places, and Wrightsboro entered a new phase. In 1799, a house of worship for all denominations was constructed. After it burned, the current structure was built between 1810 and 1812 by selling of public subscriptions and land. The Georgia General Assembly granted the commissioners of Wrightsboro permission to sell 3 50-acre lots and use proceeds of up to $500 to build a house of worship for all Christian denominations to hold services. Available records pick up in 1877, which is when the public church was deeded to the Methodist Church because, as they asserted, they used the church most often. The community agreed and handed the church and 2 acres over to the Methodist Church South. By 1964, the Methodists had disbanded after being active for over 125 years, and the ownership reverted to McDuffie County. Ep Wilson, 8th-generation descendant of Joseph Maddox, still feels a sense of peace from the church and its surroundings.
I love coming here because there's a peace here with the church structure just so clean and simple and basic, and the majestic trees and 100 old graves, and it's just quiet. And there's a peace here, whether we're having a homecoming service with 100 people singing Little Church in the Wildwood, or whether I'm just up here cleaning up the yard of limbs.